Tharoor. Dr. Tharoor is a globally recognized speaker and author on the economics and politics of India, as well as on freedom of the press, human rights, Indian culture, and international affairs. Dr. Tharoor is currently serving as a Member of Parliament in India, a role he has held since 2009. Previously, he was Minister of State in the Government of India for External Affairs and for Human Resource Development. Dr. Tharoor also has an outstanding record of service internationally through his work for the United Nations.
AIPAC is the only, American, Israel PAC, whatever it is allowed to spend $100 million in our elections and not be called names. Like if Russia spent $100 million in our elections, if there was like a Russia PAC or a Chinese PAC and they were just allowed to spend that kind of money to lobby and pay our politicians to say things and to believe in things. And that should make people angry. Like that should make people angry, irrespective. Like I said, it could be any country.
Unless, right, I agree with you that it's amazing.
Or let them all do it.
Right. If like America is owned by Israel or some or part ownership or whatever, just tell us that.
Right. Well, they don't want to.
That's the weird thing I don't understand. Like,
then you wouldn't sign up for wars. You would start to question things in a different way. And so it becomes important for the government to keep Americans ignorant of how Congress works, what's going on, so that they believe their congressman when they go on a rant and say, Israel's our friend and ally, and they don't know how to just very easily look up.
I think it's a good idea to have this $100,000 fee, and I'll tell you the reason why is because right now there's something like 5 times as many H-1B applications as there are slots. So I think they grant about 85,000 H-1Bs a year, and many more apply for it. And as a result, they have a lottery where they just kind of, I guess they randomly choose who the winners are going to be. And if you look over the past decade, roughly half the H-1Bs go to these like IT consulting firms.
Yes.
And the average salary is like $65,000 a year. So it kind of
keep this to yourself. Simon, good to see you again. Yeah, good to be here. I have to thank you first and foremost, and many reasons. I'm a huge fan of all your work, but the conversation we had when we were over in LA was received so unbelievably well by the listeners on this podcast. It did millions and millions and millions of downloads in such a short space of time that I had to nag you to get you to come back again when you were here in the UK. So,
well, it's nice to be back, and it's nice to do it on your home turf.
Yeah, literally in my home.
Literally in your home.
There's so many things I want to talk to you about, but one of the things that I was curious about, because I've been thinking a lot about this in my life, is this idea of our whys evolving. Mm-hmm. What is your why, and has it evolved over the last decade at all?
So my why is to inspire people to do the things that inspire them. So together, each of us can change our world for the better.
Cohen's returns, even with his first calls, seemed too good to be true.
He takes 50% of the profits, and then he returns even after that, like 30, 40, 50, 60%.
So in order for him to return to you a 50% profit, he has to make 100%. He has to double money.
Yes, and it averaged for many years 30% after expenses.
After expenses, to deliver 30% to his clients.
That's over time, is huge.
Means he's making more than 60% on the money he's managing.
Now you know how you go from 25 million to 9 billion.
How does anybody make 60% a year?
Well, the feds are asking that right now.
The government.
The days of the financial meltdown of 2008.
The collapse of Silicon Valley Bank is causing shockwaves across the entire business world.
With the FDIC now in control, customers can access up to $250,000 on Monday. But as ABC's Jacqueline Lee explains, that's not enough for many companies left struggling to manage their finances.
This weekend, clients of Silicon Valley Bank are scrambling and imploring the federal government to step in to help recover uninsured deposits over $250,000. It's the largest bank failure since the financial crisis of 2008.
The crash created a cascade of events. Some smaller regional banks lost the majority of their valuation, and another has since collapsed. Companies such as Roblox, Vox Media, and a whole host of Silicon Valley startups are scrambling to find the cash to pay their employees. Meanwhile, the UK government is at work, trying to minimize the effects of the crash. And at the same time, the rest of the economy is trying to figure out what the long-term
feel competitive imperative to, in case that's true, oh my God, we better be first.
It's a very intense time at the moment in the field, as everyone knows. So many resources going into it, lots of pressures, lots of things that need to be researched. And there's sort of lots of different types of pressures going on. We obviously want all of the brilliant things that these AI systems can do. I think eventually we'll be able to make, advance medicine and science with it, like we've done with AlphaFold, come up with new cures for diseases, new energy sources, incredible things for humanity. That's the promise of AI. But also there are worries, both in terms of, if the first AI systems are built with the wrong value systems or they're built unsafely, that could be also very bad. And, there are at least two risks that I worry a lot about. One is bad actors, whether it's individuals or rogue nations, repurposing general purpose AI technology for harmful ends. And then the second one is obviously the technical risk of AI itself as it gets more and more powerful, more and more agentic.
She came from a long background of Freemasons and German, she came from a very occult. Her first cousin was the president of Russia, Sergei Witt. Again, I'm probably butchering a lot of names here, but so
Madame Blavatsky was a very famous person in 19th century.
Yeah, she was essentially the mother of the New Age movement. So what she believed, it's Western esotericism mixed with Eastern religion. It's essentially proto-hippie, proto-California counterculture stuff. A great book on this, one of my favorite books, is a book by Martin Green called Mountain of Truth about Ascona, Switzerland. It's about the birth of the modern counterculture, the California counterculture, whether it was Trotsky and Lenin or Carl Jung, all these people hung out, Tucker, in the same place in Switzerland in the 1920s. But so Theosophy's main insight, according to Land, was that, and he said it himself, the secret doctrine, the name of her book, was that, this is what Land believes,
put yourself in the right mind space to explore some of these really difficult topics?
I think a lot of it's preparation, and then once it happens, it's mostly fueled by sort of adrenaline, I would say. I really deeply care about getting to the root cause of some of these issues, because I think so often people in positions of power are let off the hook. So I really care about holding their feet to the fire, and it translates into a lot of energy the day of. So I never find myself, funny enough, I usually drink a lot of caffeine leading up to the interview, and then I try to drink minimum the day of, because I have so much adrenaline. I don't want to be hyper stimulated.
I have to say, of all the recent guests I've had, the energy you had when you walked into the door was pretty
excited.
intense.
Are people not excited to be here?
I don't know. I think they're scared.
You're a big deal, Lex.
I think they're scared.
I don't know if you know.
I feel like
Good news. Usually after people talk to me, they are very optimistic. And I always have to warn people, I am in the business of optimism, right? I'm an early stage investor. I'm always thinking that a company, I only invest if I think a company is going to become some extraordinary movement. But I agree with you. I mean, the last few years, what we have seen as investors in, the American dynamism ecosystem, the companies that are building for defense tech, it did not exist 5 years ago. It just did not, there was not the enthusiasm or the excitement. DoD wasn't excited about buying from startups. It's a complete 180. And so I always like when people say they meet these founders and they have hope for America. It's every day I get to meet them. And I think that's why I'm such an optimist too, is because I get to see on the ground floor these young engineers who are just incredibly patriotic. Their patriotism, I always say, I was patriotic because, we're the generation that remembers 9/11. We were coming of age in 9/11. It changed our lives. These kids weren't even born. They have no recollection of some of the things that we understand.